Yo YouTube, what's going on? AJ here, back at it again with another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over the 1.4 tier list featuring our favorite character, the Gooner girl. You know what I mean? She always be going psycho. I told you, don't put the thing in, you know what I'm talking about. Don't be putting it in crazy, guys. Don't be putting it in crazy. But first and foremost, if you like the content on the channel, make sure you hit a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for the support. We're trying to be the top Wuthering Waves creator in this space. Thank you guys for keeping the lights on always on the channel. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So we do have some changes, guys. Not that many, but there are some that have been debated on the last time we did a tier list video with a couple of, you know, fan bases or hardcore players for like a certain character clashing, and after a while I've come to a realization to certain things, but let's get over it. We'll quickly go over the ones that don't need much changing. So Shorekeeper, she's still top of the meta. I still think she's the most valuable unit in Wuthering Waves. She prevents power creep. She basically did prevent power creep from your favorite DPS, essentially. Yes, there will be new DPSs that come out that could be stronger, and with her, they become really strong, guys. But it doesn't mean just because this new DPS comes out that your other ones are not hitting as hard, because that's the beautiful thing about Wuthering Waves. There's a lot of skill expression there. There's a lot of ways for you to just learn a boss mechanics, parry timing window, and a lot of the characters, and especially when it comes to Gian over here, who is the first limited 5-star DPS. You know what I mean? Most of the time these characters eventually just get quickly power creep, but Gian's holding his own, and if so, right now he's going to be really future proof, because there's a mechanic he has that we'll talk about that no other character has, obviously. Jin C, not much more needs to be really said. Girl is just Thanos at this point. I feel like I thought at some points that they would slow down with Jin C, but they're like, no, they made her ridiculously overpowered. Then they gave her Jaja or Jeja or Jay-Z, as I like to call her, and that takes her to a whole nother level. But then even if you don't have that, you have Yan Wu, and then you can also use Yoo-Hoo on the team. I mean, Jin C right now, guys, I think if there's any DPS, I would say, hey, if that rerun is coming, and they already are doing Yinlin and Zhang Liao this quickly, that means next patch, Jin C is probably coming. I would tell people to save their astrites if they're interested or missed out on this character. If you're a new player, to grab this character if you've already invested in Yanwu, if you have this, if you have that. If not, then don't worry, there'll always be other good DPSs in the future that eventually there will be a character that gets to her level. They will need their complete team, but as of right now, Jin C is still the top DPS in the game without a doubt. You have obviously these two we can just go over quickly. Sub DPSs, I've told you guys this, the long-term value of these characters is longer than even DPSs. They not only do good on-field damage, they do great off-field damage, and they provide buffs in the game, not only for their current element, right? So for Glacio, for Jeja, for Electro, for Yinlin, they also provide some sort of universal buff, which is liberation damage for her and the skill damage for Jeja, which well, from what we've seen right now is that skill damage right now is more so the burst DPSs that are coming out. So she's covering that wide category of, you have Chang Li, you have Jin C as a prime example, right? And then for Yinlin, you have Zhang Liao, you have Calcharo, and I do believe I'm missing one more character with liberation right now on top of my head, guys. But all in all, these characters are going to be very hard to power creep, especially because Kuro not only has to now cover all the other elements for a sub DPS too, but mainly they're going to be pumping out more DPSs. That's just how these gacha games go, and we don't have that many sustains yet, to be honest, as well. So the longevity of these characters are probably going to last till 3.0 in my honest opinion. I don't really see another duplicate Electro Glacio sub DPS coming out anytime soon. They got to cover the board first. Our first change is going to come with Verina. So recently, everybody, I think more people are getting closer to 30-30ing the tower. You know what I mean? 30 out of 30. And I think a lot of just casuals or the average Joe, right, who may have been struggling with 25 or 27 or something like that, are getting closer every time, or even if they weren't there, right? And I think a big part of this and this change and what I'm about to do is put right now Verina, I think, deserves to be in Apex. I first originally put her in OP, but the amount of healing she does and the amount of low investment, guys, like if you were to look at my Verina and I just use her as a healer, it's one of the most low invested characters I have. I don't really have too much on her. I don't even have a proper like echo set fully running, but for her job, for healing, quickly switching, you know what I mean, giving that energy boost and all that stuff like that. It's very nice. And honestly, I think I kind of underestimated kind of the value of another sustain, right? I knew Shorekeeper would be amazing and stuff like that, but Verina is still such a top tier pick in the game that if you have her, it's kind of a blessing if you have both of these characters right now. So for now, she'll be an Apex until we get another sustain unit like a Future Shielder. If Kuro decides to give us that, then I will move Verina down to OP, right? But for now, I think Apex is good for her, and I think a lot of people will be happy. Now, for OP, let's talk about Jian and Zhang Liao for a second, and Chang Li for a second. These three are going to be interesting for a minute. Currently, right now, my favorite character out of the three to play is Chang Li, and I enjoy playing her the most. And I've cleared majority of the endgame bosses with her. And by endgame bosses, I mean the hollow bosses, right, guys? Besides Infernal Rider. But everything else I did with her, and she's amazingly powerful. Quick burst, quick rotation, right? Then we have Zhang Liao, who basically kind of has a mini Jin C nuke, or ult to say, right? And he's very just on-field heavy, just destroying everything for a free character. This character is amazing. Then we have Jian, and Jian's the one character where I'm looking at, and I'm like, he's still, as the first limited 5-star character, does great damage, like great AoE damage, very, very good single target damage. Then if you have a Shorekeeper on it, it buffs up his damage and how, you know, he ramps up, and it's really insane. I've even had one of my subs send me a clip of what he was doing and how much damage he's putting out, and that was amazing to me. And I was like, yo, I need to get back on the Jian train and start using him even more. But as of right now, currently, where I place these three is one ahead of the other. No, not really. In terms of value, guys, I kind of think they're the same. I really think these three are OP. And if you invest or like any of these three characters and you like using one more than the other, there's no wrong choice here. Like if you were a new player today and you're like, should I either invest in Jian, Zhang Liao, or Chang Li? I would say it's really just your choice, because all three of these characters are ridiculously good right now, and I put them in terms of equal value the same right now. I really don't think there's a wrong choice. Then we have Encore. Obviously Encore, not much to really talk about. If you have her she's just been destroying everything in the game since the start of the game, and I know some people have lost 50-50s. If you've lost 50-50s and got a copy of Encore, then guys, hey, guess what? You just have a more broken DPS, you know what I mean? And she deserves to be an OP tier right now, and you know, the Woolly Warrior is just strong. Havoc Rover being in S tier, I still feel that way. I still feel like we need her 3 more resonance chains. I don't know if she'll ever move up until we get to use those 3 resonance chains and get her max potential. Maybe we'll get a Havoc sub DPS and she can move up, but it's most likely Havoc Rover stays hard S tier. I like her right there for now. Mortefi, nothing needs to be said there. Best teammate with Jian, very, very strong. This is another change where I want to talk about real quick. So with Yoo-Hoo, guys, there's 2 ways you can look at Yoo-Hoo right now. I think most free-to-play and light spenders, right, do not have a lot of copies of Yoo-Hoo unless you got really, really lucky. You know what I mean? So for Yoo-Hoo right now, I do think Yoo-Hoo, if you invest in her lightly, she does her job for what the character is. However, and this is what I would recommend you doing, because I haven't fully built up my Yoo-Hoo yet. If you want to see what a max potential Yoo-Hoo looks like, you can go over and see Rexland's clip. I'm sure there's other creators who even have a max Yoo-Hoo who do some crazy things. So right now, if you're somebody who's around Yoo-Hoo where it's just that you have that one copy, or maybe you just have the character itself, I think right now she's good in S tier right here. However, if you have her max out, the max resonance chains and stuff like that, I do believe she would end up right here. But for now, I'm just going to go off based on what the majority of the community, I believe, has. I'll say Yoo-Hoo is definitely in the high S tier. But if you do have multiple copies, right, maxed out, she's right here in OP tier, okay? Now moving on, Dan Jin remains the same. Nothing there to be said. She's still a good budget DPS. Sanhua, very, very good support unit. Jan Shin, very, very good jack of all trades. You can use her as the sustain option. She works well with Zhang Liao with the huge amounts of resonance liberation, most in the game. Provides CC, great character all around. Lin Yang buff. Lin Yang got, you know, Zhezha, Gauntlets, and guys, I know a lot of people just dislike this character because of, you know, they lose their 50-50s mostly to him and they want to play with the new character. And I understand there's somewhat of a hate for this character, but I genuinely do believe when you get play time with him, invest in him, start to learn how quickly you can do stuff with him. Very, very good character. He's been clearing tower for a while, and some of the top CCs in the game use this character and enjoy playing with him and clear stuff. So Calcharo right here. Calcharo being an S, kind of giving this one I was a little bit more lenient on last time because I know the skill expression that people like. They're saying that there's nothing wrong with Calcharo and stuff like that, and they learned his mechanics and all the cancels and stuff like that. And it is, to get him into like an S tier value, you really have to love this character and learn just all the little cancel timings and the little mechanics for him, right? And that's why I'm leaving it there, because I know the people who like challenges and like pulling off that stuff really like the character and are destroying the end game with the character. So Calcharo still belongs in S. You know, Rover right here, Spectro, really, really good character. There doesn't need to be anything to change. Honestly, most of the S tier really, there's no change between S and OP tier. Then we'll get to A tier. A tier, I'm not really changing anything either. Vaija, again, if you're a short keeper, you don't have Verina, then this is your second best option for the healing slot. Yanwu, not many people build him, but he's very, very good option with Jin Si. Yang Yang, she's always going to be solid. I don't see a time where I'm going to remove Yang Yang from A tier for a while. I just think the character has just been solid all around. I think there are people who really have this Yang Yang built up and invested, really do like her too a lot. And she does do pretty solid in terms of just CC and all this other stuff and rotations. It's a very nice character. Chixia, still the same. And these two still the same, which leads us to Camellya. Now, Camellya, the character everybody's interested in. Where am I going to rank Camellya? Does she go B? Does she go A? Does she go S? Does she go OP? So let's talk about something really quick with Camellya. Currently, Camellya, we've seen her animations, and one thing we do understand is Camellya is a DPS. And at this point in time, Kuro, whenever they release newer characters, does not hold back on making these characters very, very powerful. Now, in terms of in-game, right, guys, we're going to need to know how much, like, when we play with this character, obviously she's going to do a lot of damage. But there's going to be crazy, probably little mechanics maybe that people learn or something like that, that could push this character through the roof. Now, in my honest opinion, I know some people who are big Camellya fans want to see her in Apex tier right now. However, we need to see what the character's full potential is first before we can do that. However, I'm not going to hold it. Right now, I want everybody to look at this as a placement, like a temporary spot right now. I think Camellya is the top of OP tier at this current moment right now. However, before anybody says anything right now or anything like that, I just want you guys to know this is very temporary right now, because what I do believe is if her damage numbers are that crazy and the rotations are quick, clean, crazy, and she wants to be on field a lot, like she wants to be on, especially if you're going for her weapon, she really wants to be on field, you know what I mean, for a lot of time. This character could potentially be right here, like behind Jin Si. And that's the thing where I'm like, I really want to see first, like, what all the little tech, the little tricks, because I know we're going to find some stuff about her. And I do believe this is her actual placement. But for now, I think she's on top of OP tier. I do think she will she could potentially separate herself from these three. But even not, her being at the top of OP tier with this is great company and a great character. It's just really hard to find a character nowadays, guys, that's going to be stronger than Jin Si. I don't know who's going to do it. Make your predictions down below, guys, who you guys think is going to be the character to power creep Jin Si. You know what I mean? But that's it for this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll do Lumi next time when Lumi does release, because she's not on the Camellya banner. I love y'all. It's been your boy AJ, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.